Hey there everyone, my name is Brendan from Crypto 101 and welcome back to another cryptocurrency market update. And today we have some massive altcoin news hitting the markets, and it all starts with the proposal of new cryptocurrency ETFs. Now, yes, you heard that right. We're going to be talking about Solana. We're going to be talking about Avalanche. But I also want to talk about what Vitalik Buterin just said about Ethereum, because he seems to be getting extremely bullish on it after a few upgrades. And we're going to be breaking that down, as well as looking at the Bitcoin ETFs, which, again, spoiler alert here, they've seen a drastic decrease in the number of outflows. This could be a really bullish thing for Bitcoin, especially as Bitcoin pushes back up above $62,000 as of this morning here. So if any of that sounds interesting, all that we ask is that you stick around for the video, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and if you really like the free content that we have to offer over here, maybe check out some of the links in the description down below so that you can get plugged into some of our communities. But with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about these potential new cryptocurrency ETFs, kicking it off with Solana. Now, this one isn't entirely new. We did see two different Solana ETF applications come out. However, we have an update on them today, as it looks like the SEC is trying to shoot these things down. Now, the good news here is that VanEck has come out and they were basically saying, hey, this is not going to deter us. We still think that our Solana ETF bid is still, quote unquote, in play after this SEC setback. So this should come to no one's surprise. Gary Gensler and the SEC trying to do everything that they can once again to set back the crypto industry, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency spot ETFs here in the States. Now, Solana has very quickly become one of the leading layer ones on a lot of different metrics. I think if you look at transaction count, decentralized exchange volume, overall activity, it is quickly becoming a leading decentralized or leading platform just in general. And because of that, investors are looking at it and saying, hey, maybe we can get an ETF or a spot ETF here in the States for that one as well. And maybe it's next up on the list. We saw VanEck and 21 Shares, which is a partner of ARK, go in and say, hey, we would like to apply for this. Now, the SEC is coming back, trying to shoot it down. It looks like this might be a slightly harder process than the Bitcoin or Ethereum ETF. However, VanEck does not seem like they are too deterred by this. Now, in light of this, what we're actually seeing over here is that Greyscale has come out and offered a new trust for Avalanche. Now, this is a little bit different from an ETF. This is not a spot ETF in the States, but rather a trust. Now, the significance behind this is that they now offer, I think, more than 20 different crypto investment products, and they've been making a really, really big push here since their new CEO got in, which is a big deal, and I think we can talk about that as well. But essentially what happened is their old CEO left. It's popular belief that he kind of got pressured out from maybe some potentially not great decisions. Greyscale lost a lot of their assets under management in relation to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And thus, they have this new CEO who is a former Goldman Sachs banker. His name is Peter Mitzberg. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But since he has come in, he has said, hey, let's expand our offerings for crypto here in these crypto trusts. He's made a very big push for the AI side of things, recently doing a BitTensor trust and also a SUI trust. But now we're seeing the AVAX trust come out as well. So if you're looking at this and going, okay, that's cool and it's great, but it's not a spot ETF, why does this matter to me? Well, the significance of this is because if you remember, the Greyscale Trust or the Greyscale Ethereum Trust and the Greyscale Bitcoin Trust were previously just that. They were previously trusts before they were upgraded or uplisted to becoming a spot ETF here in the States. So people are looking at some of these trust products that they have, I believe, again, now around 20 of them, and they're saying, hey, are these the most likely candidates to get an ETF listing next? And it looks like those are probably going to be some of the top candidates. Do I see all 20 probably getting ETF listings within the next few months here? Probably not. It looks like the SEC is shooting down Solana. And if they're going to shoot down Solana, I think the odds of them shooting down something like BitTensor or SUI is pretty freaking high, considering Solana is much larger and it is much older and it has a quite esteemed reputation for the most part that has become really good here in recent years. So this is a big deal for the ETF markets. We're seeing Greyscale come out and say, hey, we saw what happened with the Solana ETF. Maybe we're going to try our luck here with a plethora of different trusts. Maybe if the grass looks greener in the foreseeable future, we can try to upgrade some of these things like we saw with the Bitcoin and Ethereum trusts. However, it looks like the SEC, at least under Gary Gensler's guidance, isn't going to want to see any more spot ETFs from the altcoin market, at least not in the next few months here. And that message seems to be coming through clear. However, I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing for the crypto market, as a lot of these traditional asset managers like VanEck have stated, they're really not being bogged down too much by it. Now let's go ahead and move on to what Vitalik Buterin has been saying in relation to Ethereum, because he came out here recently and said, hey, Ethereum's fundamentals have become, quote, crazy strong. Now, what does this mean? Well, he goes on to talk about kind of just the current state of L2s when it comes to Ethereum. He talks about how layer 2s are now averaging a gas fee of below 1 cent. He goes on to talk about that, and towards the beginning of March, he saw Arbitrum layer 2 gas fees being around 50 cents. Now, if we look at them, they're ranging anywhere from 1 cent to 0.4 of a cent, as we can see since around mid-April. So when we're looking at the infrastructure side, and after some of these adjustments and upgrades that Ethereum has made, there has been a drastic reduction in gas fees. And I will say, as someone who interacts with the Ethereum ecosystem probably just about every single day, I have noticed this. I have seen a drastic reduction in gas fees to Ethereum, especially when it comes to Ethereum layer 2s. And I do think that this was a necessary stage of infrastructure. Now, this isn't the end, and he kind of talks about this as well. This isn't the end of making Ethereum more scalable. If you haven't looked at the Ethereum roadmap and what they want to do with proto-dank sharding and some other things, there's a lot of really cool stuff that is yet to even release yet. And we're just kind of seeing the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Ethereum here. So when he says that Ethereum's fundamentals have become crazy strong, I think that they have. And what we're really seeing here is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Ethereum and what's in store for it. Now, will that be enough to compete with things like Avalanche? Will that be enough for Ethereum to compete with Solana? Only time will tell. Right now, Ethereum is still the dominant layer 1 ecosystem that's out there, but we have seen an increase in pressure from some of the other L1s, such as Solana. I'm excited to see what this does. We're definitely going to continue to cover this stuff, but let's look at the Bitcoin ETF outflows, because this has been a big talking point as well. People have gone, hey, why are we seeing this? When are we going to see outflows kind of start to reduce? And we've actually already seen outflows from both ETFs, Ethereum and Bitcoin, especially on the Bitcoin side, drastically fall off since the start of this month. In fact, if we look at August 2nd, there was around $280 million in outflows. The next day, it was around 200. The following day, 150. We saw another day of 182. We go to this week, and what we've seen is $30 million in outflows, $19 million in outflows. Here, the other day, $9 million in Bitcoin ETF outflows. The amount of outflows is down like 80 to 90% given on the day, right? There's a little bit of wiggle room there, but the amount of ETF outflows that we're seeing is going down drastically, and the sellers are getting exhausted, which is exactly what we're kind of seeing over here on the Bitcoin chart. Not to say that we're only going to go up from here. Bitcoin still has quite a large resistance level around this 62 to 63K area, just below the 200-day moving average. We've seen this in the past historically be an area that was resistance, turned support, back into resistance. This is a pretty notable trend line on Bitcoin right around 62 to 63K, and Bitcoin has already been struggling with it for the last 2 or so weeks now to kind of get above this range. So I don't think we're just only up from here. We're going to hit new all-time highs next week. I don't think it's that simple, but there are a lot of great things that are happening in the background of the crypto markets. And I think another one of those things happening in the background over here is the fact that Bitcoin's daily RSI and its daily MACD are seeing higher lows and higher swing lows. essentially what we're seeing here is that even after this most recent downspill, the things like the relative strength index were not able to go as low as they were previously, thus meaning the bears are weaker than they previously were. We see the same thing over down here on the RSI, or on the MACD, where the bears were not able to get as low. This makes it a higher swing low on both of the key indicators, two very popular indicators, just showing that the bears are actually getting weaker over here. In fact, I think we can zoom out and see that Bitcoin is overall in a falling channel after a move to the upside. We'd classify this as a large-scale bull flag. Even looking at a weekly time frame, I think a lot of people would look at this as a large-scale cup and handle, yet another bullish formation pattern. So, just about any way that you look at it, right? We look at it from the fundamental standpoint, we're seeing a lot of bullish things. We look at it from the ETF standpoint, we're seeing bullish things. We look at it from a technical and charting standpoint on the indicators, the daily chart, the weekly chart, you name it. We are seeing Bitcoin do positive things. Now, I don't think that means that the price can only appreciate from here. We're very clearly in a choppy range for Bitcoin moving forward, but this is going to very well lead us into an opportunistic zone for Bitcoin moving forward as it sets up the foundation for its next move, and that's what I'm most excited about. So if you want to stay in touch with everything that's happening in the crypto markets and you want to get more in-depth updates on everything that we just talked about inside of this video and so much more, make sure you check out those links in the description down below. We have great links to get you plugged in with some of our communities, such as Crypt Nation and Altcoin Alert. We also have the Crypto 101 podcast YouTube channel, where we interview leaders from the industry from places like Coinbase, Solana, Helium, and so much more. And we bring them onto the show. We get to talk to them and see what they are doing behind the scenes and really what the builders are up to these days. So that's going to round us off for this market update, everyone. Thank you all for watching, and we're going to see all of you at the same time, same place next week.